What do you know about werewolves? Enough, I'm sure, to overwhelm me with the most detailed and accurate answers. Werewolves of all stripes and types are still attracting attention these days. Movies are made about them, endless books are written, and mystical stories are told. However, not in the number of admiring cries the meaning and the very purpose of my story. It is important to show where the mystery is, but its solution is left to the reader's conscience. So werewolves come in many forms. In addition to the classic forms, there are some very exotic ones. For example, the wolf shepherd. There are many legends about people with special powers. In medieval France, they were considered powerful sorcerers, leaders of a pack of werewolves and wolves. Ordinary people did not see the difference between the one who every full moon turns into a beast man and the one who from birth has power over wolves. Although for the experts, gamekeepers, foresters, and hunters, the differences were obvious. I have often seen references to encounters with those who have the gift of shepherding. You may have read about it or watched the movie The Miracle of Wolves: Secrets of the Burgundy Court. It's about how a wolf pack came to the rescue of a stranded woman. The beasts killed the attacking robbers, but did not touch the unfortunate girl, but surrounded her and guarded her until help arrived. Interpretations of this event may vary, but the chronicles also describe the trial that followed and accusations of witchcraft against the woman. In all stories about incidents like the one described above, wolves help a man endowed with a certain mystical power, the nature of which deserves a separate conversation. And it happens the other way around. I have a grandfather, a hunter, who lived for nearly 20 years in the taiga wilderness in a working village, lost among the vast forests and swamps of Taimyr. So the life in those places was not very diverse. Watch, week off, watch. Having rest for several days in a row, you either start to drink from boredom or look for entertainment. The most popular hunting and fishing. To each his own, of course. You know what else is special about this kind of life? It is that not a single event of little or no noticeable importance is not passed without thorough study and discussion by all villagers. Gossip, rumors, news. But among the mass of everyday and ordinary episodes, there are mysterious, mystical stories. Grandfather missed the beginning of the hunting season. There was emergency work. When he returned home, the whole village was buzzing like a beehive discussing the mysterious disappearance of a hunter from a neighboring village. A man in his 30s, let's call him Mikhail, went out hunting in the forest and disappeared without a trace. The search yielded nothing. The authorities actively urged the locals to join the rescuers and walk along the trails in case they find something. And it is reasonable, because the search from a helicopter, small traces on the ground will not show. Grandpa took part in the search, but to no avail. A week later, the missing man showed up, came out to the searchers as if nothing had happened, no signs of fatigue or exhaustion, as if he'd been out and back in one day. The rescue team went home. But a reporter from the district newspaper came to record the hunter's story about the strange encounter in the taiga. But by that time, the story could be retold by any local resident. And here it is, in the first person. It was going to be a nice day. The sky was clear. I decided to go to the forest and check the snares, at the same time to walk along the river, and to estimate where it is better to put the net. Without a motorboat, it would be ruinous, but I had enough brains in my head. I left early. At 9 o'clock in the morning, I was already on the path. The places were familiar. Even a drunk could not get lost. But I had a strange feeling, as if they were calling me, here only not by voice and not by name, but in my head somehow, pulling me to the side. I'm walking, and I'm surprised that I thought of such a stupid thing. It's quiet all around. I don't know why I had such thoughts, but I couldn't stop. On the contrary, I only increased my pace. I'm in a hurry. My heart is pounding like a hare's. My temples are throbbing, my eyes are foggy. I think the marsh flowers gave me the stupefaction. I've had it happen to me. I've inhaled pollen and had a headache for the rest of the day. But it was dry, not a swamp, not a puddle, and I had moved away from the river. I turned my head sideways. I didn't recognize the place. I didn't panic. Why get scared for nothing? You can always go back to the tracks. It's pulling me further. A strange feeling, a pinching feeling, as if I had lost a child and I was searching and searching. I can't remember how long I wandered like that, but for a long time, because the sun had already passed the zenith. That's when I saw him for the first time. A huge, big, mangy, scruffy wolf. He stood staring at me point blank, about 15 meters away, no more. Yellow eyes, burning yellow. A smart look. I froze and reached for my carbine from behind my shoulder. But he smelled it and ran away. But not too far away. He stopped behind the trees and looked out. I can't believe it when I remember. I put my carbine on my hand and slowly started to approach him, and the wolf cub yapped and ran away again, zigzagging away somewhere. Of course I didn't shoot. It's not an easy beast if he's not afraid to come out and show himself. So we walked together through the forest. The wolf was leading me, just like a hunting husky. I even thought it was a dog. But no, the trail behind him was wolfish and his eyes were not dog-like at all. He led me to an unfamiliar ravine, sat down at the edge and looked down, saying, "Come down, man." So I went down. I told you I was stupid in my head. I didn't know what I was doing. I just did it, that's all. The ravine is small, about 20 meters long and 5 wide. The bottom was dry, mossy, roots twisted everywhere, and a cave in one of the banks. It was more like a hole, but it looked like a cave. I looked in and gasped. A wolf's den. It wasn't very deep. I squeezed in as far as I could and saw a she-wolf lying on the ground, a loaded belly, whimpering pitifully. I'm not a vet, but I've seen dogs pupping, so I knew right away what was going on. I got up to her quietly. I whispered to her not to scare her, that it's no big deal. But she looked at me like that, even sweat came out. In her eyes there's despair, pain, and fear. She was hoping for me. And I'm not a doctor, though I didn't doubt it for a minute. I examined the she-wolf. I realized what was wrong. The wolf cub was stuck. Either not so turned around or something else, but the poor animal could not give birth without help, so I became a wolf midwife. I pulled out the first pup, and then the rest came out. Boys and girls, you couldn't tell. I put these gray lumps on their mother's belly and quietly went out myself. I came out of the den in the light. I looked at Wolf was sitting a step away from the burrow and was wiggling his nose sideways. Nervous. I went farther away. I looked back. The wolf only hustled into the cave and back he followed me, decided to see me off. It was already evening. Obviously I couldn't get home by daylight, so I had to make a bed for the night. I found a thicker tree and threw some lapnik next to it, so that it wouldn't be cold to lie down. I made a fire. What about the wolf? He lay down in the dark in front of the fire, eyes only glowing like coals. At first I couldn't sleep, I was anxious, but then I fell asleep. I woke up and the wolf was gone. I went to the place where he was hiding the day before. There were only traces of him lying there, so it wasn't just a dream. I walked back on a hunch. I knew I wouldn't get lost. The forest is like home. And soon I came to the old paths from which it was easy to reach the village. That's where I met the rescuers. I asked them who they had lost, and they were surprised. They were looking for me. They said I'd been missing for over a week. But 24 hours passed, I remember everything.